Okay, part 3. Because you know we can't seem to get part 1 and 2 right. Or at least I can't. Okay, here we go. We're going to look at another kind of irrigation system. Alright, irrigation system number 2. What type of irrigation system is that? Miguel, sit up. Canals? Okay. What's different about that canal versus this one?
There's like
Charlie.
There's water in it.
Okay, there's water in it. What else, Joseph?
That instead of like a thing to go open and shut, this one has the water source already there. Plus it has like wood, something or whatever in between it where it can just block off that water going through there and just go through a different way.
Okay, James, what else do you see different?
There's a river next to it.
There's a river next to it right here. Here's your main water source. What else do you see different?
It's flooded.
It's flooded. What else, Cody?
There's a bunch of lines so the water can go through.
Oh, okay. Malik, what else you see?
There's a city in the very far back.
Well, maybe so. I don't know. I can't really tell about that. All right. Cody hit it. He hit the nail on the head. Look at this. Is it running between every single row? Yes. Did it run between every row there?
No.
No, it did not. It ran in this picture around small patches of crops. In this one, it runs between every single row. Every row has an irrigation canal between it. All right, that tells us a couple of things. Might these crops need more water? Yeah, quite possibly. Might this area that they planted these crops in be a drier region? Yeah, it could be. Could be more dry than this. Okay. This might have been just the way the farmer wanted to do this because he had a really good water source. Do you see how the water comes in here?
Yeah, it's like a little bridge.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little bridge that's kind of built there. The water flows over into it. All right, now he's probably got an irrigation gate somewhere outside this part so that he can allow the water to come in and rise higher. If it rises high enough, can it make its way across and into these pools? Yeah.
Is that a real picture?
It is. Yep, it sure is.
Wait, that's a real picture?
It is. All right, irrigation system number 3. This is probably what looks like in Mesopotamia. No tractors. Alright, so right here would have been the farmer's home. He would have milked cows. He would have maybe done fishing in the river. This would have been his trade center right here with the canoes coming in. This would have been his home. Over here it looks like this is either another little home, or over here it looks like they're actually making what? Pottery. Okay, here's his field. And you can see the canal runs here, right? Okay, and right here, what is this one used for? Pasture land. Now, I told you that if you farm, can you continue to farm that field right there year after year after year after year after year?
No.
Why?
Because it'll become dry.
It'll become dry, but what else happens to it? What happens to it?
It won't be fertile anymore.
It will not be fertile anymore because what are those plants that you plant in there every year going to do to the ground?
Bring up your water.
It's going to take up the nutrients. You're exactly right. Now, this is going to sound gross, but it's true. I mean, face facts, it's true.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Do you see those animals on that pasture land?
Yeah.
Guess where they use the bathroom?
Yeah.
On that pasture land. Guess what manure is good for? Fertilization. It's a good fertilizer, okay? So, he might farm this land for a year or two and then move the sheep over here and put his garden over here. So he may swap these two out, which would make sense, right? Are either one of them close to his home? Absolutely. So that's kind of smart, isn't it? You got livestock on this piece of land, so you'll farm over here for a while. Then when this land starts losing its ability to have a lot of minerals in there for the plants, you just swap.
That makes sense.
It does make sense, doesn't it? Alright, you see the plow?
Yeah.
That's the wooden plow. They think that's what it looked like. Alright, last week we saw a video of those canoes, remember? And you told me one looked like a bowl. Well, look here.
It looks like a rock right
rafts look like a life raft. And then some of them had better canoes that were made out of reed. Okay, a reed is a plant like this right here that would grow in the water. Yes, Joseph?
I have 2 questions. One, why is the guy on the further this way, like up the street, climbing
Here?
the tree?
Here?
No.
Oh, he's getting coconuts.
How did they get across to those
Coconuts and bananas. Yeah, remember they got fruit. Coconuts, bananas, pineapple. What?
The other question is, did they use the cows just to push the things they used to plow the ground?
Is that the only thing they use them for? No, what else would you use cows for?
Milk,
Cheese. They would have calves, so that would give you more livestock. Yeah, eventually, if you had enough livestock, you could use them for meat if you need it. If you absolutely need to, would you want to use your livestock for that?
No.
For meat?
No.
It would be better to fish or go hunt, right?
I have a question.
Yes.
Wouldn't more like sheep and stuff get out because like they don't have any fences?
They don't have any fences, but what prevents them from it?
Canal.
The canals.
Yeah.
The canals work is that way too.
What about that bridge?
That's the bridge for you to get across.
How would you
To the
get to
field.
the other field though? Like
Well, you can't see the whole picture, so there would probably be another bridge there, just like there's another bridge here.
oh.
Okay. All right, let's look at the next one. This is another drawing of a bleh, farm in Mesopotamia.
That's a good drawing.
Okay. Now, one of the things that you might not notice on the other picture, but you see these holes in the rooftops?
Yes.
Sometimes they would go up there at night because it was so extremely hot in Mesopotamia, and they would sleep on the rooftop.
I was gonna say there's
Yep. Not a bad idea, was it? Now, Hannah, down here you can see they've got fences built around it.
Oh, yay.
So what would they have built their fences out of?
Wood.
Wood. All right, do you see their irrigation canals running through here? Yep.
There's a little fish.
I
have a question. What is down there in that water? Is that sheep or pig?
I think that's
Sheep.
Let's go with pigs.
Yeah,
Joseph?
Miss, if it was like raining outside but it was hot in the desert, why would they sleep up there? They'll just like.
Well, it's going to get rained on, but how often is it going to rain there?
Very
Probably not much, right, Cody?
giant barn thing?
Right here, it's
Yeah.
just what you said it was. It's a barn. Either that, or it's got little. There's pottery inside there, and it's got little. See the. It could be a workshop. It could be a temple. I'm not real sure. That's a good question. I didn't pay much attention to that one. I was too busy looking at the houses. All right, let's look at. Whoa. Let's look at this one.
Yay.
That was like Minecraft.
Yep. All right. Now, it does remind me of Minecraft. Here is the what inside these walls.
Mud brick wall. City state.
City state. This is the what?
Ziggurat.
What is this? The palace, the temple. Okay, now, outside here, you see all this farmland. So they farmed outside the city state. All right, one more. This is the one that you see in your spiral.
Why do they have?
Okay? Okay, I want you to write this at the top of it. This is probably, that's an O, what a farm,
Looks like in Mesopotamia.
yep, looks like in Mesopotamia. Okay, all right, so you can see from this picture, this is like a zoomed in picture of a farmer's house. You can see the farmer's house here. He would milk the cows, maybe do pottery, things such as that right there around around his home. Right back here, you see these little huts. They've actually got animals in them. You can see a cow there. That's either a cow or a horse. I'm not sure which. Kind of like mini barns. Yeah, sort of. All right, now we can't see the bridge going across the river, but we know there has to be one there. They've just not drawn it in this picture. You would also use these palm trees for shade, what little shade you could get, but also if they're coconut trees, you get coconut off of them, right?
You could use those giant leaves.
Yeah, you could use the palm branches for things. Okay, now you can see their canoe here. Back in the background is the mountains. They told you those are the palm trees. Over here, you can see right there, they're using the plow to plow up a garden. Over here, they have a garden. Now, there's a really unique thing on here. Right here. Okay? That is a shadoof. Alright, and I'm going to show you how a shadoof works. Now, a shadoof, are you listening?
Yeah.
A shadoof has a counterweight. A rock, usually a rock, a huge piece of hardened mud like they would make their mud brick homes out of. And you would see it attached to a lever. Now your counterweight is going to always weigh more than what's at the end of this lever. And at the end of this lever happens to be a bucket. Now, the purpose of this was to make it easier to get water out of your water source, in this case, the river. So, you could climb down into the river and get a bucket and dip it out, right? You're going to have to bend over, get it, dip it out, and get it back up to the land.
Yeah.
Or, you could just walk up to the shadoof that's already going to have the bucket attached. You can pull the rope, which lowers the lever down, and pull the bucket into the water. Now when you get the bucket full, you're just going to let the rope just easily pull and lift that bucket back up for you, and you're going to have a bucket full of water. Now I'm going to show you how a shadoof works. There are actually still in this world, not everybody lives like you and I live. In this world, they still use shadoofs in a lot of places. Now let me show you a video showing you how it works. You've got to listen very carefully because you cannot see the man's bucket that he brought. Okay? You can see the shadoof, you can see the bucket tied to the shadoof, but you cannot see him pouring the water into his own bucket, but you can hear it if you listen. You also cannot see the water source because he's standing up on the bank and the water source is down below him, but you'll hear like this gulp gulp sound. And when you hear it, that's the bucket filling up with water. Alright, so let's watch this real quick. I'll let you watch it a couple of times because it's hard to hear. It's near a road and there's a car about to pass, and so that makes it hard to hear. Alright, did you hear the gulp gulp?
I did.
Alright, listen again. Let me turn it up a little more. And there he poured the water in. So is that easier than him climbing down in there trying to get the water out in a bucket and then bring it back up and pour it in his bucket? And obviously the bucket that he has is bigger than the one on the shadoof because he fills it up a couple of times. Alright, let me let you listen again. I'll turn it just a little bit more. But that's the best I can get. That's as loud as I can get it right there. And then the car passes and you can't hardly hear it. Did you hear it that time?
Yeah.
Maybe you were recording. I wanted the whole time.
So what's the purpose of a shadoof? To make it what, Brandon?
Yeah, easier to flow.
Yeah, to make it absolutely a lot easier to get water out. What's another purpose of it? Do you know, Joseph?
Another purpose is, let's say, it could be used for your crops.
Okay, if you are getting bucket out of the river, well, you're usually getting the water out of the river, right? Not a bucket out of the river. If you get water out of the river, you're obviously going to use it for something, right? And you're probably not going to drink it. So you're going to use it to water your animals or water your
Plants.
Yeah, your crops. Okay? Alright.
These things.
Okay, you're not going to draw this out just yet. Okay? So just listen to me. You're not going to draw this one out yet. I have it for you, but I haven't given it to you yet. So just listen. Okay? Somewhere on this timeline, between Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, and Mesopotamia, something important happened. What was it, James? The agricultural revolution. Okay? So, we're going to put a star right here. Now, I'm going to give you this paper. If you're listening online, you can get it on my website. I'm going to give you this paper, and we're going to label the shift. Okay? And what was the shift called again? The agricultural revolution. So we're going to put it right here. So when you get your paper, I want you to write agricultural revolution down that line. Agricultural, we're going to put rev for revolution. All right, so on that line that you have that paper that has, I can't even talk today. The paper that I just gave you has a star on it with a line. Write agricultural revolution down that line and then glue it on either the next page or the page right under your farming picture, wherever it will fit. Okay. Now, you're going to be writing on that paper and beside that paper. So first thing that we're going to put is right here, we're going to put agricultural, we're just going to call it ag, technique. Agricultural technique. Then we're going to draw a line all the way across. And then we're going to put way of life. So agricultural technique and way of life. Okay, several weeks ago I told you what the definition, my definition of agriculture was. What is it, Miguel?
Farming.
Farming. So, when we're going to trace the development, what's some other words for trace? I don't mean lay a piece of paper down and trace these lines. Well,
Track.
track. That's a good one. What's another one? I'm giving you a hint.
Identify.
Follow.
Follow. Right? We are tracking or following the development of farming techniques. What's a technique? Miguel?
Technique is a way of doing it.
Yeah, the way of doing something. Okay? So, follow the development of farming ways of doing something that allowed us to have a surplus. What's surplus?
More than you need.
More than you need. And the emergence, that means appearance, right? The appearance of city-states. All right. Agricultural technique for early Paleolithic man. What kind of farming technique did early man use? Okay, they went to pick berries. So what was their farming technique?
That as soon as they noticed that berries were starting to grow where they dropped it, so they're just like, I'm going to sprinkle some here.
Oh, you're getting ahead of yourself. They were hunter-gatherers. So how did they farm? They didn't. So they have no agricultural technique because they did not farm. That's about as painful as the tractor run. All right, now, they did not farm, so Drew, I think you said this. What is their way of life? Hunter-gatherers. Did they have a permanent home?
No.
No.
They were
What? They were nomads.
They've got
Okay, they were nomads. They were hunter-gatherers and they were nomads. They traveled around wherever the food was. That's where they were. They lived in caves and they lived under overhangs. So they wouldn't say, let's go home tonight, because there was no home. They just found the nearest cave and that's where they stayed. Or they found the nearest cliff and they got underneath it, right? Okay, so that's Paleolithic. All right, what about Mesolithic? What kind of farming did they do?
regular farming.
No? Okay, they are beginning
Farm.
Nope, not even that much. Beginning to learn
You can domesticate plants.
they can plant stuff. They can plant things and it will grow there where they planted it. Now, that's still not really farming like we know it, right? But they're learning. Now, these are the ones that lived in the mammoth bone houses. Mesolithic man, mammoth bone.
So they had home.
Alright, so they did have homes, but did they stay there forever? No, why not?
When the soil got unfertile, they left.
Okay, so they used up their resources around that place, and then they had to move. Charlie?
Because they couldn't, they had to fall down.
Okay, something around this time period, a climatic change was happening. What was it?
The Ice Age.
The Ice Age. So they were moving. What else was moving? The animals. And if the animals move, and that's your source of food, then what do you need to do? Move. Okay, so did you hear what I said? If the animals are your source of food, what does that mean they still are? Hunter-gatherers. They're still hunter-gatherers. Are they still technically nomads?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Because they're not staying in a permanent home. Were their mammoth bone houses permanent? They were what? Temporary. There you go. They were temporary. Now, we're going to do this. Okay? We're going to draw a box around Neolithic man in Mesopotamia. You can if you want to. I highlighted mine. Okay? Because in this time period, we had the agricultural revolution. Now, Neolithic man, he is beginning to what?
Farm.
There you go. He is beginning to farm. He's learning that you can make rows and you can plant crops in it and you can stay there. You don't have to move because now you can grow your plants. And in Mesopotamia, were they really good at it? Yeah, they were really good at farming. So they were definitely farming. All right, Neolithic man. Are they settling now?
Yeah.
Yes, they're settling. And in Mesopotamia, were they just flat out settled?
Yeah.
Yes, they were settled. They were settled in what kind of homes? Same thing, the walls were made of. Good, mud brick homes. Mud brick houses. What were they settled in?
Mammoth bone.
Huts and tents. Good. Yeah, Mesolithic. Remember, Mesolithic starts with an M. Mammoth bone starts with an M. Okay? Now, do you remember that list we made a minute ago? That list of agricultural what? Yeah, agricultural techniques. Remember all that list? Yeah. That's here. Plow, wheel, irrigation systems.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one last thing to say before I stop this video. When you can plow, when you have the wheel, when you have a cart, when you have oxen and sheep and goats and horses, and you have farms, and you have mud brick houses, and you have rivers and irrigation systems, do people start coming and living in that area? Yes. So will you start to see a city emerge?
Yeah.
Yes, and what was the middle of their city that they built in the center?
Ziggurat.
The ziggurat. And what did the ziggurat have to do with? The what? Religion, the gods, right? Okay, so you're going to see cities emerge. Are you growing enough food for everybody now?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're actually growing a surplus. Okay? So now do you see how all of this whole entire chart leads us up to agricultural techniques that led us through a surplus of food that made people come in and we could develop cities? Absolutely. I hope you did anyways. Okay. We are done with our video. Hope you enjoyed it. See you. Bye.